this is your weekly celestial forecast for the week beginning May 15th, 2023. So on Monday, we have the moon in Aries just past Neptune. So we are feeling rather zesty. We are ready to go for the week. And the depositor of that is Mars in late Cancer, somewhat of a Leo feel to it. So that adds just a little bit more pep in our step for Monday. We are ready to go. And the moon in Aries is applying within the next 2 days a conjunction to lucky Jupiter now at 29 degrees critical of Aries. So, yet it is still in zesty Aries for Monday. So, with this latter degree, we are finishing up projects, we are projecting our goals for the future. And Aries is all about what? It's about the first house, it's about leadership. And so right now, especially with that 29 degrees critical of Aries, there may be some interesting developments with leaders or leadership or those that we know, even ourselves, that are taking the initiative and really wanting to get the action going. Yes. So there is an out of sign conjunction with the North Node and in Taurus, and Mercury is at 5 degrees Taurus. So although very soon Jupiter will be headlonging into the sign of Taurus, there is yet this sense of Taurus, sense of steadfast, sense of sensibility, practicality, and what is Jupiter in Taurus and Taurus connected with the second house? That is our money, our possessions, what we value, and so on. And once Jupiter goes into the sign of Taurus, this will be the forefront. Real estate, investments, the stock market, anything to do with culinary or food. And with Jupiter there will be a lot connected with finance and monetary anything. So this is a time that you want to really build upon your money and finance once Jupiter goes into the very green sign of Taurus. And with the out of sign conjunction, and then, of course, in sign conjunction with the North Node, as always, the nodes, and in this case, very early Taurus and early Scorpio, and of course, going retrograde. It's a very sensitive point. So right now we are going to be very almost hyper vigilant and watchful of our money. And Mercury is now direct, although post shadow retrograde. So although our finances are the forefront of our thoughts right now, we are slowly but surely making progress and in that direction. This is a good time to look into new projects, jobs, you name it. It's a very prosperous time as Jupiter goes into the sign of Taurus, and wherever that is in your personal chart will be the utmost of importance. And Uranus and the Sun are also in Taurus, only emphasizing that connection with Jupiter, the North Node, and Mercury. Although because the Sun, although just past sudden, shocking Uranus, is in Taurus, yet still making a wide conjunction. We must expect the unexpected. And as with Jupiter, where Uranus and the Sun are in your personal birth chart, are the utmost importance as well. Nonetheless, the connection with the Sun and Uranus definitely is connected with unexpected events and anything with the unusual, a little bit weird, you name it. But it is in Taurus, so we will have to be very cautious of tendencies to be very stubborn, very bullheaded, and rather very connected with conflicts and so on. We don't want to be over the top about really wanting to get our way now. Although this is a good time for meditation, this is a good time for all money and financial matters and creature comforts. Maybe a good time to look into those unusual investments or looking into possibly some real estate. Yes, indeed. And we've got Saturn yet in Pisces at 6 degrees and Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. And with Pluto now retrograde at 0 degrees critical of Aquarius, that only strengthens Pluto, the power planet, resolve, and it does make a T-square to the nodes. And what is Pluto? Pluto is about structure. It's about the powers that be. And barely there and nearly into Capricorn again. Pluto retrograde squaring off the nodes is also a very sensitive point, and it creates a sense of oversensitivity with regards to our opinions and our ideals, because although Pluto is only at 0 degrees of Aquarius, it is still in Aquarius and it is at a critical degree, and retrograde will definitely give more resolve to Pluto's powers. So this is a time we must shy away from group conflicts and not to be too touchy or get into any small-minded conflicts, because this could really grow to be something more, especially with the square off with Pluto and Jupiter now. Jupiter kind of expands on some of those conflicts because now Jupiter is involved with this fixed sign T-square with Pluto, and that will remain in effect for all this week. So the trick here is not to get involved with any power plays because it will be very expanded upon with Jupiter. And we have Venus, the planet of love, still in the sign of Cancer, and that is squaring off our moon. And with Venus squaring the moon is that of spending, buying. It might be a great time to get some good financial news, but also with Venus squaring the moon, our in Aries, our emotions could be a little bit rash, or we are oversensitive here too, because Venus is with love with Cancer, and the moon in Aries just tells it like it is. It's very daring. So this could create conflicts also on Monday, especially rash or unexpected conflicts, which we could feel rather touchy because of that very sensitive placement of Venus, and our feelings are easily hurt come Monday in the love department. And also, as aforementioned, it is a time when we have to cut back on our spending. Yes, there could be good money news, but this is a time to save for that rainy day. Yes, yes, indeed. And Saturn in Pisces and Venus in Cancer, that's very good for that sense of responsibility, the sense of hard work. And with two water signs, with Saturn in Pisces and Venus in Cancer, we are going to be very attuned to others' needs, and this is a good time to be very responsible and very compassionate. So, one wonderful connection with Saturn and Venus is to be very attentive and very loving and kind, as Saturn and Venus in Cancer project. And let's move to the next day, which is Tuesday. And that's Tuesday, May 16th. And the moon is with Chiron. And that's very healing because Chiron is the healer. And the moon, although in very rash and radical, outspoken Aries, yes, has a tendency to just kind of rush into whatever they think, whatever they want, and we are feeling very daring on Tuesday with Chiron there. That is a very soft connection with the moon, and the moon is always connected with our emotions. So on Tuesday, we may be reflecting on something that we need to heal from, and we will be rather impulsive about really reflecting and really wanting to make sure everything is better for us in the area of healing. It's a very good time to get in touch with what? Our emotions. Yes, indeed. And within a day, the moon will then conjoin Jupiter. Yes, in Taurus, or nearly into Taurus on Tuesday. And yes, the moon is soon to go into the sign of Leo. Yes, and Venus is still in Cancer. It's about our emotions and our love. So it's all about caring for those and really being sensitive, even on this Tuesday. And we're starting to feel a little bit more pep in our step on Tuesday, as the moon is going to apply the following day on Wednesday, a conjunction with Jupiter and the North Node and Mercury. So let's look ahead another day until Wednesday. Yes, and on Wednesday, we now have Jupiter in officially 0 degrees critical of Taurus with the moon, yes, and with Mercury and the North Node. What a wonderful, positive, expansive influence with Jupiter, the moon, North Node, Mercury. We've got Uranus and the Sun in Taurus. Wowee, what a stellium. So this is a time for, believe it or not, creature comforts. This is the time we want to just really take it easy, but on the other hand, we're feeling really good, and we are feeling very positive about our financial future, especially with the moon and Jupiter. This is the time, folks, if you're looking into making that important move or making some of those good investments, investing in a new job or business, yes, this is the time, especially with all this Taurus influence and the moon and Jupiter. However, what is the depositor of all of this Taurus stellium here? But Venus. And what is Venus in? But Cancer. So this only brings out our need for comfort and security and protection and home and family. So this is going to be the highlight this week and for quite some time. Although the sun at the end of the week, early next week, does move into the sign of Gemini. But nonetheless, with all this Taurus stellium, we are feeling rather security minded. This is going to be the discussions about investing. It's about our home, our homeland, our security, protection of family, home, friends, you name it. And with the fourth house, yes, emphasis will be on families and parenting, you name it, and especially with that connection with the fourth house, yes, it will be connected with what? All forms of investing. The real estate market this week will be the forefront, or anything to do with land, country, anything with protections and security. That's nationally and especially personally. So this can be very positive, especially since Venus is connecting up with the North Node and Mercury on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, it'll make a beautiful sextile with the moon. So that's a really kind of a romantic connection on Thursday. So let's look ahead to Thursday. Yes. That's very nice and kind of romantic and a very homey family security commitment style on Thursday. It may not be romantic as far as romance and so on, but it is very romantic and very sensitive to our loved ones' needs on Thursday. So this is a beautiful connection on Thursday, kind of gives us a sense of security and a good feeling, especially since, again, Venus is the depositor of all this Taurus right now. Very Cancer security minded on Thursday for sure. And now Saturn's at 6 degrees and Venus, the love planet, is at 11 degrees. So still a bit of a wide sensitive water trine. So we're feeling very dutiful, very responsible about our future and our loved ones' needs, especially with this planet of duty and karma, Saturn, on Thursday. Mars is inching ever so close to 0 degrees of Leo. But although Mars is late in Cancer, that only adds the early part of this week to that sense of security. It's also a good time for what? What is Cancer in the fourth house? It's a good time for not just real estate, but it's also a good time for making renovations or repairs or straightening up or doing good work connected with what? Our abode, our physical property. And it's also a good time for really taking action early this week in repairing family relations. Yes, and let's move on to the next day, which is officially the weekend, which is Friday, and the moon is void in Taurus. So this is a day we may feel a little bit lackadaisical on this start of the weekend, but hey, we still have this Taurus stellium, but we have to be careful on all this very wonderful kind of very sensible, very good feeling connection with all this Taurus, we have to be careful still of really becoming focused and determined and stubborn to get our way, because that is what Taurus is about. And so we will have to be very leery of some of these setbacks or some of these disputes that could occur suddenly. And also, what is Taurus connected with? But what? Our physical earth. And so, with that connection with Uranus, especially with the moon and the sun, the planet of Uranus still at 19 degrees, there could be the start of the weekend, maybe Thursday, Friday, the connection with earth changes, volcanoes, earthquakes, weather-related anomalies, you name it, especially with this heavy stellium in the sign of Taurus. Yes, and there is a sextile now between Jupiter and Saturn, and Jupiter is the lucky planet with the planet of responsibility. So we are very, very practical this week. This week's about being very sound and taking action towards our future, opening up that bank account, putting more money in the savings accounts, all forms of money investments and connections with foods and our security and our family and the future. And Saturn in Pisces only emphasizes this connection. And now Mars is at 29 degrees of critical Cancer and moving towards the following day on Saturday in the sign of warm-hearted Leo. But nonetheless, at the 29th degree on Friday, very critical. This is the time we are going to be taking much in the way of action regarding home and family. And this is also going to emphasize some kind of important event, have you, or something that is highlighted on Friday connected with Cancer and the fourth house. And again, always look to where these planets are in your personal birth chart, because that will always be in the utmost of importance. So let's look ahead now to the next day, and that is now on Saturday. Yes, indeed. And that's Saturday, May 20th. And now, yes, Mars is at 0 critical of Leo and making square offs to the South Node and the North Node in Taurus. So with that comes Saturday, we're talking this fixed sign emphasis with the nodes. So we're going to have to kind of watch what we do and watch what we say, kind of a touchy aspect on Saturday, but we're feeling rather good because Mars loves to be in the sign of Leo, and its depositor is the sun. Oddly enough, at the 29th degree of Taurus, and the next day in Gemini come May 21st. Yes. So with that sextile between the sun and Mars, that gives us a great deal of confidence this weekend, starting probably on Friday and through Sunday of this week. And it's a very busy weekend. We want to get a lot done. We're feeling good about ourselves. Yes, indeed. And the sun is almost into Gemini, and the moon now is in Gemini. So come Saturday, late Friday, Saturday, we're feeling really restless. This is a weekend where we're going to want to get a lot done. We're going to be on the go. We're going to be connected with lots of travel or lots of communications, a lot of social, everything social media, uh, you name it. And because we're talking Gemini, there could be a lot of discussions about technology, communications, transportation of all kinds, but especially with the moon in Gemini and now with the planets of Mars and now the sun, which are changing signs, well, changes are happening in our lives. We're feeling really the need to be on the go. So for most of the week, it's about home, family, and security and money, food, culinary, everything. It's about our value system and wanting to get our own way, feeling good about the future. But in the latter half of the week, it's about our restlessness. It's about connecting with anyone and doing anything, travel, communications, technology. So we're kind of moving a little bit away from that homey feel, but yet it is still there with the Taurus connection. But now with the sun going into Gemini, the moon, Mars and Leo, we want to show the world this weekend who we are, and that's a good thing. But we have to be careful with all of our bravado, all our energy, not to step on each other's toes as far as our words. So this is a time with that connection with the T square in the nodes and with Jupiter and with Mars, with all the zest that we'll have over the weekend. We don't want to trip over our words. Just kind of keep it light. In fact, let's go a little further than that. We've got a T square, yes, but we have a grand fixed cross when you add in the nodes and Pluto retrograde. So that only actually kind of tenses up this atmosphere. So in our desire to really do what we want, say what we want, yes, now we add in that 0 degrees critical retrograde Pluto in Aquarius now. So yes, there is that Aquarius connection, and with Uranus and Taurus on Saturday in all our energy, do be cautious. Do not get into any unexpected conflicts now. We'll look to the positive here. Look to home and family with Venus in Cancer and with Jupiter and Taurus with the North Node in Mercury. Yes, there could be differences of opinion, but this is the time we want to focus on how good we're feeling and how we connect with home and family. And we want to connect with our good energy and really focus our energy into creating a positive future and positive projects, businesses, you name it. And so let's look to the next day, the final day, which is on Sunday. And yes, Mars is still at 0 degrees of Leo, and the moon is in the later degrees of Gemini, almost into Cancer. Yes, we're going to soon be back to that sense of home and family protection, security, you name it. But now, yes, we have 0 degrees critical and we have 0 degrees critical of Mars. So look at that beautiful exact sextile on Sunday, and the moon is not far behind in Cancer come Monday. So we've got a lot of 0 critical going on here. We've got the trine between now the sun and Pluto. So that kind of livens things up, kind of takes a little bit of the intensity because of that grand cross the day before on Saturday. Then we've got 0 degrees critical Mars. So these 0 degrees critical are important, even though there's a trine with the sun. there is an opposition with Mars and Pluto, and that could be kind of hefty. And with Pluto retrograde, that can also be a very stubborn aspect as well on Sunday. So mark Sunday this week, even though it's the last day of the week, on your calendar, because these are very important degrees and very important aspects between the opposition to Pluto and Mars. That's a very stubborn connection. And now the sun in chatty Gemini. So although the moon is in the later degrees of Gemini and the sun is just now entering the sign of Gemini, yet on Sunday we are feeling very restless. Yes, but we are really apt to speak our mind because the depositor here is Mercury in Taurus. So we want to speak our mind. We want to travel yet on Sunday. And with Mars now in Leo, we really want to express to the world our creativity, our heartfelt warmth, and we want to show off a little bit. And that's not so bad, but when you've got this opposition to powerhouse Pluto, and especially since Pluto's not feeling too good now, retrograde and headlonging back into the sign of very serious conservative Capricorn, we're going to really have to watch that our bravado and our need to really show the world who we are, put out our ideas out there, are more well received. Because if we don't gain the attention that we want, and we've got some of these negative aspects here with the nodes as well, well, there could be some conflicts on that front as well. So the trick here is not to be so self-involved, especially over the weekend, about what we want, and it's about me first. We could get into some power plays with the powers that be, or those around us that may not kind of get or understand our personal style now. So this is a time it's good to get our way. Yes, that is true. It's good to show our personal stamp of who we are with Mars in Leo. But we don't want to be too overbearing, especially with retrograde Pluto now into this fixed sign mixture retrograde, because especially with Pluto and Mars, because they are connected with Aries and Scorpio, and running into that Scorpio south node, the north node in Taurus, that could really turn up the friction a little bit. So we want to look to the positive here with the 0 degrees of Gemini, the moon in Gemini, and just keep our conversations more lighthearted and less serious, less about our ego and more about just conversation and really light-hearted connections, and really have discussions about the future, about our personal style, without getting too involved with the me first. And with all of that said, until next week's weekly celestial forecast, many, many blessings.